All right, so up next we have a keynote presentation that's coming in from Mr. Karthik, who is a chief evangelist from Manage Engine. So he's going to be talking about scale innovation at speed with hybrid cloud. So Manage Engine is one of our gold sponsors for the event. So here you go. Karthik, you're here?
Yes, I'm with you guys.
Fantastic. The stage is yours, Karthik.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um, Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak in the Kuwait hybrid cloud. So I'm going to talk about the topic scale innovation at speed. Let me just quickly share my screen with you guys. Yep, I'm hoping that you guys can all see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, and yeah, so my topic here is scale innovation at speed. So the growing trends in IT add much to the woes of administrators in terms of security and management. Cloud IT management has already gained momentum, and organizations look forward to cloud IT to reduce on imperative IT costs and maintenance. A security loophole like a configuration mismatch or missing security patch on or unapproved data access or excessive privileges to users can dearly cost you much on IT and your business. So I'm going to talk about the ways to scale up innovation for cloud IT management, and the security tips that I'm going to share with you are applicable for future trends in IT as well. So you could have hosted your infrastructure in a public, private, or hybrid cloud, and you would have chosen a service model for your business like information as service, infrastructure as service, or platform as service, or software as service, or backend as service. So what is this cloud IT management all about? So it may include more, but it is not limited to help desk and service management, assets and CMDB, desktop and mobile device management, identity and access management, security and information event management, network application and server monitoring. So you may choose to have a public, private, or a hybrid cloud to host any of these services for your IT. However, the major concern these days is to ensure the security of your internal and external data. So in the next few slides, I'm going to discuss about the right security strategy that you are going to adopt for innovation in cloud IT management and future IT trends. So the first step in this approach is going to be augmenting the endpoint security to proactively detect and defend against cyber threats. So why is vulnerability an area of grave concern to organizations? The major challenge of growing organizations these days is the increasing number of endpoints. With steep increase in endpoints, traditional antivirus, file scanning, and security solutions are no match to the security loopholes that these devices pose to the network. In a study conducted by CISO magazine, close to 37% of the respondents didn't use any kind of endpoint protection solutions or were just in the process of evaluating potential security solutions. The same study had around 33% say that their biggest challenge with endpoint security solution lay in its complexity of deploying, managing, and using these solutions. So when it comes to vulnerability management, you have to scan the endpoints regularly to detect vulnerabilities and mitigate them immediately using patches or alternate fixes. Early identification of imminently exploitable threats that require little or no user intervention. You have to put the vulnerabilities in context to understand their priority, urgency, and impact. You have to prioritize the response, such as patching and mitigation workarounds. Avoid hefty fines for not conforming to cybersecurity compliance and regulations like HIPAA, PCI DSS, GLBA, ISO 27001, and much more. Patching might interfere with the ongoing operations of the business, so you have to consider these factors while talking about vulnerability assessment and threat mitigation. When it comes to security configuration management, You have to think about firewall audit, the ports that have to be allowed, applications that are allowed to run, password policies. The strong password policy and frequent password changes are certain factors that you have to talk about. And when it comes to Microsoft Office security, you have to identify the place to store documents securely, set password for critical files. Secure remote desktop sharing may include user approval for sharing, transferring files, and recording sessions. Managing network shares will include disabling the default shares and ensuring shares are accessed through a password. Logout and logon security will include multi-factor authentication. Managing user rights and privileges will include escalating privileges only when there is a need for user to install a software or execute a process, and much more. User account management will include disabling the default administrator login. User account control may include control on user account activity, and you will also have to prevent browser-based attacks by managing the plugins, extensions, browser add-ons, and much more. So we are next going to talk about the enterprise patch management, where you have to think about automating the patch management by using a single agent to distribute patches for all applications and software. You have to have a single console for patch management for Windows, Mac, and Linux operating system. Ensure that patching is done for both Microsoft and third-party applications. Have a flexible deployment policy like after office hours, shutdown and restart policy after applying patches, and so on. And all these patches that you have to install on workstations have to be applied only after testing and approval. When it comes to application control, you have to create a list of blacklist and whitelisted applications that are allowed or disallowed on workstations. Administrator access has to be removed on all applications and software, and just-in-time elevation of privileges have to be provided to users when there is a need to access application or software. Have control over child process of applications and provide application-specific privileged access to users and workstations. Endpoint privilege management may include adopting a zero trust security model to enforce role-based privileges to all users irrespective of the hierarchy, and to all the whitelisted applications that I spoke about in the previous slide. You can allow elevation of privileges to users so that they do a self-installation of trusted software or applications. You also have to remove all the unnecessary local administrator accounts, which when left unnoticed can be a security loophole in your organization. When it comes to device control, you have to control all ports and connected removable devices, block unauthorized access to your data, and monitor all device and file actions effectively. You have to prevent the data loss with strict role-based access control policies, set read-only privileges, block copying of data from devices, and that is what comprises of file access control. Limit file transfers by setting maximum file size and file type, and create exclusive access for devices to access your computer by adding them to the trusted device list. You also have to create a secure and temporary access for devices to access your computers when they want to access what they really want to access on your computers. Effectively secure files involved in a data transfer operation by creating and storing mirror copies in password protected shares. Monitor file actions in real time, record salient details such as file name, location, along with computers, devices, and users involved. When it comes to file shadowing, it also means data mirroring. So you have to do this file shadowing or data mirroring to prevent loss of sensitive files by storing a copy of the file in a secured location. And why do you really need this? Or what can be done to prevent the data loss? Or what are the benefits of having a file shadow policy? By reviewing the share folder with copied data, the actual content of the stolen files can be identified. And this is the first step in a quick and cost-effective recovery. When a network failure is caused by malware injection, that leads to corruption of original files. Business critical data frequently accessed by remote users can be restored from the file shadow remote folder. Since file details and information about endpoints, users, and devices are documented, impacted users can be warned to change their passwords and encrypt their intellectual property, financial records, or their personal data completely. So when it comes to browser security, there are various factors that you have to think about, and this will help you secure browsers so that external phishing attacks or any such security threats may not enter your organization effectively. So you have to manage and secure browsers from one console, gain complete visibility of the browsers present in your network, their versions, details of their add-ons, mandate the use of trusted, approved browsers in the network, simple and straightforward policy configuration to secure browsers from security breaches, exercise control over installation and usage of browser extensions and plugins, discover computer compliance status with security configurations, automatically direct legacy web applications to legacy web browsers, assign specific Java versions to web applications based on requirements, and enforce kiosk mode with IT approved websites and business web applications. You also have to control access to the internet by providing or denying access to multiple or specific sites. And you have to securely handle enterprise sites away from malware contacted through untrusted sites. When it comes to mobile security management, you have to remotely wipe off the device data when it is lost or when you think your mobile device is stolen. You also have to detect and report on high risk and non-compliant devices. Run only enterprise approved applications or apps on these mobile devices, company provided mobile devices. You have to separate the corporate apps from personal ones so that you know which one is accessing your internal network. And you also have to ensure these mobile devices are compliant with policies for Wi-Fi, VPN, and much more. When it comes to SIEM, you have to think about storing the logs. So you have to cut down on the log storage spending when it comes to calculating your IT budget. You have to audit all the security events from network devices, applications, databases, virtual servers, and much more. It will also include logs from your cloud servers. You have to access the log data anywhere and everywhere so that you can generate compliance reports based on PCI DSS, GLBA, or HIPAA, or much more. And with all those log spending that is moved to the cloud infrastructure, you can scale your network architecture at ease. When it comes to data analytics, you have to have a software which will help you do an augmented and predictive analytics of the data which has been collected from various sources. It could be from your help desk data or your asset data, security data, or network performance data, or availability management, or even management as well. It has to help you do a collaborative analysis of the data and help you with rich visualization of reports, and send smart alerts when the data has breached a specific threshold value. When it comes to privileged access management, you have to create an enterprise credential vault, which will help you share passwords with technicians as and when it is needed. And a just-in-time privilege elevation can be provided to technicians to access resources. You have to ensure a secure remote access so that all activity done by the technician is being recorded, and you can play back these sequences for audit purposes. You have to ensure you understand your privileged user behavior and derive information about data exfiltration or insider threats or account compromise from those activities. You have to also protect for DevOps and ensure that the privileged access management also includes application credential security. UEBA, which is user entity behavior analytics. You have to collect logs from various sources like file servers, workstations, databases, firewalls, routers, switches, and understand the pattern of your user and entity behavior. If there is any change in this pattern, you associate a risk factor and identify those anomalies. This will help you understand if your network has been compromised on insider threats or account compromise or data exfiltration. Data security, you have to discover all the data that is there on your network and understand how data is being transferred from one location to the other or from one device to the other. Audit file servers so as to ensure only the right person access the right data at the right time. Also identify the storage space that is required for documenting the data that is available on your network. Finally, when it comes to integrated compliance, you all will have to look into various compliance reports, PCI DSS, SOX or HIPAA or GDPR or ISO 27001. So you have to look in for a software which will help you provide reports based on these compliance standards. So now it's time for questions.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much there, Karthik, for that presentation. At the moment, I see that yes, there are a few questions. However, we are running about 10 minutes late, so probably it's time to get Mr.
Okay.
Abdul Wahab, our next presenter, onto it. However, the keynote presentation was fantastic, and of course, the questions will be shared with you and your team so that it can be answered. And also for all the panelists, speakers, and delegates, Manage Engine is one of our gold sponsors, and we have their virtual space under the exhibitor column with some insights and also some video links and brochures that has been updated. So you can please take a look at it, and also if you have any questions can be dropped in there, and if you want to meet and chat with the team of Manage Engine, they are available, so you can definitely do that. Having said that, thank you so much there, Karthik. In fact, it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you, Manage Engine, for supporting this initiative as a gold sponsor.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep.